guys, welcome to Stacking the Shelves for the week preceding September 19th. Yes, you get 2 Stacking the Shelves in a row, like 2 weeks in a row, trying to make up for the long stint where I had 3 weeks where I didn't do any of them. The truth is I actually got quite a few audiobooks this week, so I thought I would go through them, and I already have some review books, so yeah, I'll go ahead and go through them now. I'm going to apologize, people probably think I'm a little weird, but I always print out the cover of a book to show people. And part of the reason I do that is I stack the printouts in my bookshelf. So I know what I have for books to read. And then when I read one I really, really like, I pull it out and I lay it on my desk so I can keep it for the best of the month posts. And I do know I could do all this digitally very easily, but I don't know. I've just been doing this forever and I like doing it like that. So the reason I mention that is my printer is apparently running out of blue ink right now. So some of these pictures look a little weird, but use your imagination and just add some blue into the color. All right, so I did get 2 books that I'm super excited about for review. And the first one I got for review is The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. This doesn't come out until March of 2021, so quite a few months until this comes out. But I am a huge Sarah Beth Durst fan. Pretty much I like everything she writes, so I'm really, really excited to read this. This is an adult, dark fantasy novel, it sounds like. I think she's coining it as an epic fantasy novel, and it does seem to be a very long book. When I get books for review, I put them into this little tool online that tells me about how long it's going to take me to read it. And I think for this one, if you read at an average 250 word per minute speed, it's going to take about 8 to 9 hours to read. I read at about 400 words per minute, and so this one I think it said was going to take me 5 hours to read. So anyways, longer book. Excited about though because Durst has just been doing such a good job lately with creating standalone novels that are just very engaging, very well done. So I'm really excited about that one. The other one I'm really excited about is by another author who has just been a complete hit for me all the time, and that's Kelly Armstrong's latest book, which is A Stitch in Time by Kelly Armstrong. This comes out a lot sooner. It comes out in mid-October, so I don't have this one too far ahead of time. And this is a new genre for Armstrong. It is a Victorian time-traveling romance with ghosts or something like that. So I'm honestly not a huge fan of time travel reads. What originally caught my eye for this book was on NetGalley. The cover has a very middle grade fantasy look to it. It's like a big spooky house with a person standing in front of it. I don't think that's a very representative cover of the content of the novel. And then if you go on Goodreads, you'll see that this is the cover that is predominantly being used by people on Goodreads. So I'm not sure which cover is the final cover, but I think that this cover is much more representative of the story that it sounds like is being presented. That being said, I wasn't disappointed to find out this wasn't a middle grade fantasy. I'm very excited to read an adult Victorian mystery / time travel story. I think she's just been doing such an excellent job with her recent books. I'm just very excited to see her start something new. So again, that comes out in October, and I got that through NetGalley. All right, so then I did get quite a few audiobooks. For those of you who are big audiobook fans, you may have seen that Amazon announced that your Audible membership now includes Audible Plus, which is a selection of audiobooks that you can borrow for free with your Audible membership. Now, I'm not sure if this is an addition to the free Audible originals you get every month or if this replaces it. I don't really care either way. The catalog for Audible Plus actually is pretty darn good. And there were a number of books that I pulled out of there to read. I am going to be traveling for work and doing a lot of driving to our plant again, and it's a 9-hour drive. So I did want to make sure I had a decent stock of audiobooks to listen to on that trip. So the first one I pulled, and this was an Audible Plus one, is Fantastic Land by Mike Bakoven. And it sounds silly and over the top, but also just really weird. It's about an amusement park in Florida that kind of gets flooded and abandoned, and then all of a sudden they're finding out that some really violent, crazy group of people have taken over it. So very interested to see how this is. People seem to love it. They say it's campy and over the top, but really, really well done. So excited to read this. It's kind of like a horror thriller survival kind of story. And it sounds like one of those one-off quirky books that I think I would really like. All right, the next one I picked up through Audible Plus is, this is one that the cover was absolutely decimated by. My printer. It's supposed to be a beautiful dark green, but it's got stripes and no blue color. Anyways, and that is in Collab Calabria by Peter S. Beagle. This is it's set in Italy, and it's a fantasy, and it is a novella, so it's only 3 hours long, so it's a little bit shorter. Part of the reason I picked this up is because I do like Peter S. Beagle a lot. But it's also, I found when I do these like long 9-hour drives, I tend to stay awake and pay attention better if I'm listening to like some shorter audiobooks rather than like one really long, like 40-hour audiobook. I do better if I have a couple of shorter ones in there. So I don't know, it just keeps me more engaged, I guess. The last one I got through Audible Plus that looked really interesting to me and was actually one I had on my wish list for a while, and this one was also decimated by my printer. So if you're watching this on my blog, you can look down and see pictures of these covers. But that is The Accidental Alchemist by Gigi Pendian, and this is kind of a historical fantasy and about alchemy, which I just like that topic, and I like historical fantasies, so very much looking forward to reading. I think it's historical fantasy. Now that I'm thinking about, maybe it's not. Maybe it's more of an urban fantasy. I think it's more of an urban fantasy set in modern Portland where, anyways, I'm confused. It sounded good. I had it on my wish list for a while, and I saw it was part of Audible Plus, so I went ahead and got it. And again, that one, I believe, is like a 7 to 8 hour audiobook. So when I'm going on these long drives, I kind of look for audiobooks in the 3 to like 8 hour range so that I can finish a couple of them and stay engaged. All right, I did get one Audible book that I did not get from Audible Plus. I used a credit for, and that is Peter Cline's Terminus. I'm a huge Peter Cline's fan. I know a lot of people either love him or hate him. He writes really weird stuff about like parallel realities, and it kind of borders on like horror or thriller or just plain weird. This is the 4th book in his Threshold universe, so 42 was the first one in that, which I loved, about an apartment building that had like a weird interdimensional portal to a different universe. He also wrote The Fold, which was about a guy, if I remember correctly, who developed like a time machine that let him go in between universes. He wrote Dark Moon, was the 3rd one in Threshold, and I haven't read that yet. But these don't really go consecutively. Like they have themes that tie them together, and they're in the same world, this Threshold world. But the cover of this one just caught my eye, and it's another Threshold novel, and I've been loving them. They're so weird, and they just work for me. So if you're a Peter Cline's fan, he also wrote the X-Heroes series, which is about a bunch of superheroes who are trying to save humanity after the zombie apocalypse has happened. And I love that series as well, which I don't think that series is finished, but he hasn't released a book in for a long time. So anyways, huge fan of Peter Cline's. He's a quirky author that people either kind of love or hate, but I think his stuff is just amazingly creative, and I enjoy it. It's just so weird. So I'm really looking forward to listening to Terminus. And then the last one I got is a Kindle Unlimited book that I borrowed, and that is Hollowfell Huntress by Kate Avery Ellison. This is the 3rd book in the Spellwood Academy series. Again, this is a very typical, like, young adult urban fantasy where this girl finds out she has fae powers and is sent to this academy to learn how to use them. These are super short. Like, I think they're maybe 200 pages long. It is on Kindle, but I read them in about an hour, hour and a half. They're very short. I like the characters and the creativity of the magic and stuff enough to keep reading them. I don't think I would ever buy them, but I don't mind borrowing them. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're into that kind of thing, I think these are pretty well written. The 2nd book, I think my main complaint was, I haven't written a review for it yet, was just that, like, there's this big mystery going on about her past and everything in the background, but then they, like, had this inter-school house, like, contest to collect each other orbs to see who gets to pick to own a part of the land in the academy or something like that. And it was just very divergent from the main storyline, and I don't think it was nearly as interesting as it would have been if they had stuck with like more of the main storyline. So I'm going to read this one. It's a pretty small time commitment, but depending on what happens in this book, I may or may not continue with the series. We will see. So it's like a mini review and discussion of that all at once. So all in all this week, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. Again, I have been trying to kind of not get as many, but I was getting low on audiobooks, so that's why I went ahead and got all of those. Not a whole lot else going on. Again, I could talk about we're having kind of weird weather here, and I know like parts of the country are having a lot more issues than we are with weather, but it got super cold last week. We actually had freeze advisories. There was like ice all over my deck, and now today the high is going to be 88, so it's going to be super hot out, and we hate that when that happens in the fall here in Minnesota, because the bugs are like celebrating life or something. Whenever it gets super warm, they're just everywhere. And then luckily though, the temperature's supposed to drop significantly, and we're supposed to be back in the low 60s to upper 50s starting tomorrow, Thursday. It's actually going to maybe get down to the 30s again at night. So we're looking forward to that. Some of the leaves are starting to turn, and I have a maple tree right outside my window that is turning brilliant red right on the tips right now. So we're finally getting some leaves turning. We are planning to go up north camping again this coming weekend. So we'll be hopefully there during peak leaf season, because usually mid-September is when you go north, it's a little bit cooler, is when kind of the leaves are peaking. So we go up a lot for MEA in Minnesota. That's mid-October, and usually by the time we've gone up a MEA, we're definitely past peak once you get to like Duluth, Minnesota. And if you go further north, there's just no leaves, which I don't know. I don't mind hiking. I'll hike it any time of year, but it's always a little bit prettier when the leaves are all turning, and they're absolutely beautiful in that area. If you go up to like Grand Marais area, or at least Tofte, Minnesota. So that's the main thing we're doing. My son is having his first week of online learning. So far, it's been a little bit disappointing. His first day, he had to watch a literally 20-second video, and that's what he did for that day. Today, he's logging on to his homeroom, both at like 8 and then at like 1. And he finished his 8 o'clock one by like 8:30. And I guess everybody introduced themselves and made sure everyone knew how to use Google Meet. They're meeting again at 1-ish to, I don't know, do something similar. They had a little activity where they're supposed to watch how to take care of their computers or something like that. And finally, so I think Wednesday, I think tomorrow he does the same thing. And then later in the week, he's on like a day 1, day 2 schedule. He will actually log online and do his full class. It's a little bit odd because they're having middle school and high schoolers start the first 2 weeks online only. And then the last week of the month, they're going to go to a hybrid schedule again. So we'll see how that all works out. My son is completely capable and was talking to the homeroom teacher and everything. And he does not mind it. He takes after his mother and father a little bit. Although we've been not enjoying the pandemic, I would say that we're probably a little bit less affected than a lot of people. We like working from home. We don't mind doing our Pathfinder and D&D game sessions online, although we prefer to do them in person. But we figured out a way to make it work online. We like playing video games and board games as a family. So, and doing kind of solitary things like hiking. So this year has been very different, but not probably as hard on us as some families who like to be super social. So anyways, that being said, I hope that you guys are staying safe and that everybody is doing well in this strange situation that we're living in still. I don't think anybody thought it was going to go on this long, but, we're all doing okay here. And I hope you got some great books, had a great week of reading, and that you have a great week of reading ahead of you. And I don't know if I'll talk to you next week because I've done 2 weeks in a row stacking the shelves. If I'm still getting enough books next week to do stacking the shelves, it means I need to stop getting books. So it'll probably be a couple weeks till I talk to you guys again. But until then, have a great time reading, and I will talk to you later. Bye.